So let's see how this works. The gangster banksters have loaned billions to the political parties and to, I don't know, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and the Bushes. The bankster gangsters like Justin Kennedy, that's just one. Oh gosh, you can just, Jamie Dimon, it's never ending. The vast rivers and tsunamis of money that have flowed from USB and HSBC and Bank of New York Mellon and Timothy Geithner to Obama and Penny Pritzker's Superior Bank to Obama, and the list just goes on and on and on and on and on. It's not just Justin Kennedy and Deutsche Bank. It's not just the fact that we've had the entire system bought. And, Michael Winston and Gretchen Morgensen of the New York Times with Mr. Roshner have noted this. It's not just Deutsche Bank and Mr. Kennedy and the Supreme Court Justice of the United States, all bought and paid for by these mega banksters. This bankster-gangster usurpation of the American political system's been going on forever. It goes all the way back to Madison Guaranty Savings and Loan, and the Lincoln Savings and Loan, and the Silverado, and the St. Joe Paper Company. That's for all my friends over there in Florida. The St. Joe Paper Company, and Western Banks and John McCone. John McCone and the Western Banks. Now everybody knows who John McCone is, right? Former director of the CIA during the days of Clinton and Reagan, and it just goes on and on and on. William Webster was in it up to his freaking eyeballs with William Weld. William Weld was hugely involved with Deutsche Bank. And let's see, who else has Deutsche Bank bought? Take a look at all those speaking fees that Bill Clinton was showered with. Those great big payolas of the speaking fees for Bill Clinton. Now, here's where it gets really kind of sticky. Donald Trump basically financed his own campaign. Yeah, with huge loans from Deutsche Bank and Bank of America and Citibank and Goldman Sachs and all the other bankster gangsters that financed Donald Trump. Folks, I'm going to get down to the bottom line here. The entire scenario of vast rivers of cash being used to buy Supreme Court justices, state court judges, federal district judges, federal appellate court judges, all these government employees like Robert Mueller and Jimmy Comey, they're all in bed with the bankster gangsters. All of them. The Clintons, the Obamas, the Bushes, the Reagans. Hell, Jimmy Carter was involved with Sunshine State Bank and old Burt Lance. Remember Jimmy Carter? Come on, Jimmy Carter was bought and paid for by the bankster gangsters too. They own the system. Ask Gretchen Morgensen at New York Times. Here's somebody you should really ask is David Durden over there at the Zero Hedge. He follows a lot of my research. And right, David Durden there? I noticed you were quoting quite a few of the references that I've written about for, 35 years now? I've been writing about the wholesale sellout of the American government at every level, from the county commissioner's court and from the city council to the state governments, all the way into the FBI and the Justice Department. Oh, and the Supreme Court and the federal courts and the presidency and the Congress and the Senate. In America, you've been flim-flammed and bamboozled. This cushy Kushner-type relationship, this Kushner-like relationship, with Justin Kennedy is just the tip of the iceberg. Now, I don't want to have to say I told you so, but I told you so. And start digging down, drill down into Jimmy Comey's little relationships, and drill down into Robert Mueller's little relationships there with HSBC and UBS and Wells Fargo and WAMU and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and every other FHA. A good source of information, if you need it, is Catherine Austin Fitz. And then there's another lady, Linda Minor. She's the old Harris County attorney for the city of Houston and surrounding Harris County. And then, just go from there. The great Texas bank job. Gee, who would have ever figured? I'd like to give a shout out to Deborah Bruner. Anthony Kennedy, I guess, was involved in stealing her inheritance from her father's estates. And, Deborah Bruner. She's been screaming bloody murder about this for a long time. It's not just Richard Bowen from Dallas. No. Long before anybody heard of Richard Bowen and K.C. Tuckness from the Woodlands, there's been this guy right here. Nobody's mentioned the fact that our government's bought out by the gangster banksters. Man, I don't know. I've been doing this longer than Matt Taibbi. Right, Matt Taibbi? Tell him about Judson Witham, Rolling Stone. Yeah. And you can go on back and talk to Peter Bruton from Houston, Texas. Yeah, old Pete Bruton. And Kathy Gordon. She's from the Houston Chronicle. And oh, gee, golly whiz, get a hold of Lacey Olson. Lacey Olson there at the Houston Chronicle. Lacey's dropped the ball. She's a special investigative reporter with the Houston Chronicle and wouldn't touch my story with a 100-foot pole. Because people like John Cornyn and Greg Abbott and Jim Maddox and, I don't know, every I forget Ann's name there, the governor of the state of Texas. Been too long ago. This has been going on a long time. George Bush Sr. and George Bush Jr. You take a look into the Bush's finances with Neil and Jebby and Uncle Marvin and BB&T Bank. You take a look at these massive financial relationships between every level of government and the gangster banksters, and you're going to be going, wow, Justin Kennedy is the tip of the iceberg. How about that, Donald Trump? Isn't this just, and Jeff Sessions, same to you, pal. The gangster banksters own, operate, run, and control the U.S. government. Staggering when you begin to realize it, isn't it, David Durden there at Zero Hedge? It's amazing how deep this stuff goes. And you try to make videos. I've made hundreds of these videos telling people about it, but nobody wants to believe it, I guess. I mean, who the heck's this guy, right? He's just some crazy old man, isn't he? Just some crazy old man screaming bloody murder about how Justin Kennedy's and Anthony Kennedy's involved in this, because let me tell you something about these courts. All of these courts and the Justice Department and the FBI, they're all massively owned by the banksters. Who wants to prosecute the gangster banksters that are putting millions of dollars in your pocket? And in Donald Trump's case, billions. It's not just Deutsche Bank that loans money to Donald Trump. And everybody's confused. I mean, this is so confusing. They're too big to prosecute. They're too big to jail. No charges. They're running around laundering hundreds of billions of dollars for the narcotics cabals, the narco traffickers, and nobody gets indicted. No trials. There's no grand juries. There's no testimony.